The following incident illustrates his courage and presence of mind. He one day wished to set up a heavy trapeze in the gymnasium, and so asked the help of some people who were there. Among them was an English sailor. The trapeze fell and knocked the sailor unconscious, and the crowd, thinking him dead, ran away for fear of the police. But Naren tore a piece from his cloth, bandaged the sailor's wound, washed his face with water, and gradually revived him. Then he moved the wounded man to a neighboring schoolhouse, where he nursed him for a week. When the sailor had recovered, Naren sent him away with a little purse collected from his friends. All through his period of boys' play, Narendra retained his admiration for the life of the wandering monk. Pointing to a certain line on the palm of his hand, he would say to his friends, I shall certainly become a sannyasi. A palmist has predicted it. As Narendra grew into adolescence, his temperament showed a marked change. He became keen about intellectual matters, read serious books on history and literature, devoured newspapers, and attended public meetings. Music was his favorite pastime. He insisted that it should express lofty ideas and arouse the feelings of the musician. At the age of 15, he experienced his first spiritual ecstasy. The family was journeying to Raipur in the central provinces, and part of the trip had to be made in a bullock cart. On that particular day, the air was crisp and clear. The trees and creepers were covered with green leaves, and many colored blossoms, birds of brilliant plumage, warbled in the woods. The cart was moving along a narrow pass where the lofty peaks rising on the two sides almost touched each other. Narendra's eyes spied a large beehive in the cleft of a giant cliff, and suddenly his mind was filled with awe and reverence for the divine province. He lost outer consciousness and lay thus in the cart for a long time. Even after returning to the sense perceived world, he radiated joy. Another interesting mental phenomenon may be mentioned here, for it was one often experienced by Narendranath. From boyhood on, first beholding certain people or places, he would feel that he had known them before, but how long before he could never remember. One day, he and some of his companions were in a room in a friend's house where they were discussing various topics. Something was mentioned, and Narendra felt at once that he had on a previous occasion talked about the same subject with the self same friends. In that very house, he even correctly described every nook and corner of the building, which he had not seen before. He tried at first to explain this singular phenomenon by the doctrine of reincarnation, thinking that perhaps he had lived in that house in a previous life, but he dismissed the idea as improbable. Later, he concluded that before his birth, he must have had previsions of the people, places, and events that he was to experience in his present incarnation. That was why he thought he could recognize them as soon as they presented themselves to him.